welcome to the channel for the last battle report of my ETC 2024. We were playing after round 5, we got 90 points against Ukraine, which climbed us in the table, and basically since Spain had already played against all the following teams, we ended up, I think we were 5th or 6th, and we still ended up playing Spain. Because they already played every other top contender. So very interesting match to finish. Very happy to play against those guys because I knew some of them and they are a very nice team. So looking forward to this round. It's going to be challenging, but obviously for us it's a little bit of a repeat of what happened last year, which was the fact that we played against Poland on the last round, which was a very close round, and obviously this doesn't help if you are below in the table and you're trying to climb above other teams. With a drawish result on round 6, you're not really going to go above and get a potential podium. So that was obviously not the best news regarding our ambitions to climb back in the table. But we will see. We knew that we needed a big win if we wanted to really climb back the table. So this was Gandhi's Albo's list. If you remember, I played against this list in a training game. So I played a training game. So this was for me a good Sunday because the 2 games that I played on Sunday at ETC, I already played them in the boot camp with Team Switzerland. So obviously a huge help in better understanding of the list and the matchup. And I've talked before in this series of video about ETC about how important it was, and I think that was highlighted enough. The huge difference between you will see also my level of playing in the day 1, where I really struggle to understand the both list that I face, and this game and the game before, the game number 5 as well. We were playing for this round all the target on end circle, and below you have our spell selection. Matchup analysis, yeah, I played a practice game against this list, so I know what to expect. It's a toolbox type of list. It has a lot of unit, good range damage. It's yeah, it can attack quickly, especially when the 2 ambusher unit comes out. Yeah, I think overall matchup is quite open. It's not so easy, I think, for him to attack me. Rated it a 10, and I think for me the key will be to reduce a little bit his block. He has only 1 heal, so if I reduce them a little bit, it will be harder for him to attack me. Careful about his shooting, and yeah, I know about ambushes, so I need also to be careful about that. Deployment. So my opponent wandered for side, and he gave me here the impassable in my zone, and he gave me the big center, and he placed his all the targets, as you can see here, in the middle. So I think that was his main idea, is the ability to adapt, to go either right or left. But since he wanted to come towards me, placing one in the middle would be good for him. And I went, for me, it was then the choice to go rather left or right. I felt the left part of the map should be slightly better for me, so I placed my target here. And then deployment, I felt on all the targets, it's not that great. It's not, that key to start. I prefer to play second, adapt my deployment to his, and especially I can adapt the number of scoring units within 6 of the target that I need. So I felt this is quite interesting. So I let him start to deploy. He elected to drop everything to start. So he dropped from left to right. We have the skink. Behind you have the big Cayman Elder. On the hill you have the Renfordant, then the Temple Guard, Cayman, big unit of spear, the 2 Stigio, and on the far right you have the 4 Renfordant. On my side, I place from on the right to close all the potential positioning of the Renfordant all the way to the back with the Giant, and I also covered with the Anointed. So basically those 2 units are to cover the right flank. Then I place all my shooting here in the middle, close to the wall here. That could be good to take positions. And then down the far left, Disciple of Lugar are going to try to push together with the Overlord as a support pieces. Then we have Vassal Levies, another scoring unit, to make sure I can grab this one. And the Incarnate are going to quickly take a position in the forest to stop his shooting, and also could be a potential combat against the Temple Guard at some point. I know that they are quite effective against this target. So that's about it for deployment. His turn 1, he pushes towards me, but as you can see, not that aggressive. So he forms a shape, leaning toward me, and the Ramfodon goes slightly on the wall in case I would attempt. I think that was like an 11 or 12, so very long charge. In Magic Phase, he targets the Bull of Shamut, get a -1 armor save and Swarm of Insect on my Anointed here. That did nothing. My turn 1. So I spot an opportunity for me, which is the ability of Frenzy Bait the Ramfodon with the Giant. Basically, he's too far from BSB General, so it's going to be a 6 on 4 dice, basically. Not rerollable, so it's like a 6 on 2 dice, so it's more likely to fail it than to pass it. And basically what I check is I'm still covering the angle with the Anointed, so he cannot escape. I'm not giving him any long charge on Anointed or Blunderbuss, so the only electable or doable charge is on the Giant. And I Frenzy Bait him because he did mark, as you can see in the back, 1, 2, 3 units, but not the Giant. So the Giant has a 3-up armor save, can definitely hold that combat and most likely win it. And then maybe I get rid of the Ramfodon. So I felt this is a very good opportunity. The rest, as you can see, I'm pushing towards the left flank, forming this shape, getting on the token. I use the Overlord here to protect my backline to the Pokai. I didn't want him to enter on my backline and potentially threaten my Bastion. So that's the type of positioning that I felt. Obviously he has a free zone here that he can attack, but I was feeling that's not so bad for me, because if you enter here, I still have time to manage it. And yeah, that's about it. If you would enter here as well, I have some time, I can turn around, so that's not the worst. I felt protecting the back of the Bastion and the other shooty unit was more important. In Magic Phase, I got a breast weapon on the Temple Guard. I kill about 5, and I fail the Grave Call on 4 dice. His turn 2, he failed the Frenzy, but he failed the charge on a 7 Swift. To be honest, I could have made it a bit shorter. Basically my idea with this positioning on the right here was to put him as far away as possible from any buffs. So basically the idea is you fail the Frenzy, you have to charge me, and you cannot buff the unit to make it a good combat for me. But could have gave him a slightly easier charge. He made a 6, so he failed the charge. And the problem is for me with the wheel, it's still charged on a 7, so not so easy. He enters the Pokai here. Due to the tricks in the flank, I cannot charge him, and basically he has line of sight to charge me here in case the Giant does charge and doesn't do a lot. He would be able to counter charge me with the Pokai in the back and potentially to kill my Giant. He enters here in the backfield with Chameleon to shoot at the Overlord and pushes a bit forward with the Skink into a position that forces me to create something. In Magic Phase, he got corruption. I dispelled corruption of Thin. He failed the heal, and he got a big chilling hole on my shooting. It was then my turn. I elected to charge with Vassal Levies to get rid of the Skinks. They obviously fled. He passes the corresponding panic check. Here I move the Giant slightly sideways to make another time the trick of the Frenzy. Nothing else can really charge me, and still far away from his backline. I'm not sure it was a good positioning. We will discuss about it later, but I don't think it was a good positioning. And here basically what I try to do with the Overlord, I don't want him to shoot me all game long, so basically what I tell him is, if you fail the March check, which is a 5, then the Overlord can charge you, and if you don't fail it, you can escape, like here. Again, not sure it's the best idea. I could have kept the Overlord here close to the Lugars to continue to push on the side. I think it's a solid duo, especially if it doesn't have the Skink anymore. I think I can quite safely push, because the Lugar can hold those charges. I just need to be a bit aware of the Temple, but I can still like push like that and have the Overlord as a support pieces, and I think both of them together makes it quite a safe flank to push a little bit, maybe not that much, but that could have been an idea also with the Incarnate as a cover piece. So I don't think it was the best plays with the single model, but more about it later, like I said. Shooting phase, I get now a 12-inch for the Bastion to the Cayman, so that's quite important to start do some damage. In the magic phase, I do Grave Call, I kill strength 6, I kill one Cayman, and then shooting, I kill another one. So that wasn't bad. Let's continue with his turn 3, and now that's the position of the Overlord I was talking about. So he starts an aggression. Basically pushes me with 4 units here, and as you can see, my giant, that's what I was talking to you about. If I would have picked another frenzy bait, but just next to the Pokai, having a line of sight like that, it's still a frenzy bait, and I would have protected this kind of positioning or force him to act. So I think that was a huge mistake. Here obviously he passes the march check and will be able to shoot at my Overlord here, so again I just lost a turn for nothing, and this allows those guys to come here, which I didn't really anticipate. They can shoot heavily on this unit, and actually after he shot me a bit, I won't be able to charge him. And you see here the key positioning of the Overlord that basically stops him from doing that. I have a charge here for the Incarnate, but it's a long charge. I left me the possibility to go to wheel pass and move here, but it's too long. It's like 11, so he's way too safe here on the left, able to create some damage. He uses the Cayman to chaff Bastion and the other unit of Blunderbuss, and here he uses the Pokai to minimize chaff my Anointed. So that's quite interesting. Big aggression from him, so we'll see how I react to that. I had to figure out a couple of ideas, but this is going to be very interesting. We have then the magic phase. Obviously, he passed the frenzy on the 6 this time, so that wasn't the best timing for me. But like I said, I didn't read the game properly on both flanks with my single model, and I was a bit disappointed by that. He got Corruption of Thin on my Overlord again. He got +1 armor save somewhere, or +1 strength somewhere. I think on the Pokai, in case I would charge with Anointed, and he also got here +1 armor save on 1 dice somewhere. Shooting phase, he did a good amount of damage on my Lugars, and basically I'm not in a position anymore to charge them. So that's a huge issue here on the left flank that I have, and I have also issue to solve on the right flank, so it's not going to be easy, but I have a couple of ideas. So let's see what idea did I find. So I took no charges. What I did, I moved the Anointed back. The only unit that sees me is the Pokai. So Pokai can come. It's 3 guys with strength 7, weapon skill 5. I mean, it's a dicey fight. I can win it, I can lose it. I bring back the giant. I should have angled him slightly more here to also keep in mind the token. I wanted to have line of sight here on the Pokai, but let's be honest, even if we stick, I'm not sure I would like to take this long charge, so I think the better idea was to open a bit more my angle for the Stigio. So I think that was a little mistake. I bring back the Overlord. I realize that losing time on the left flank will do nothing. I bring back the Overlord because now he can charge potentially here me in the flank, and I want to have him as a counter charge. For this, in case he does, I place my Bastion just behind the Cayman, which basically blocks them from wheeling. Even if the Cayman do charge the Bastion, he cannot wheel pass. So basically the Saurus, I don't need to deal with them right now. I place those guys in the front, making for those 2 units, if they charge me, since I have a small front, and due to the other unit around, it's not going to be easy to get so many model in contact, so I will be steadfast, and then the counter charge of the giant in the back. So I find some good ideas. Obviously he can charge me with Renfordon Cayman in the Bastion. I would be steadfast and have a counter charge, so that should be fine. As you can see, Lugars suffer a lot of wounds, so I push a bit my Incarnate and I chaff those guys in the corner with the Vassal Levies. So basically just to avoid to get engaged by the temple. they were on the hill, so they were threatening for me, I felt, and this allows me to push a bit with the Incarnate. I was thinking I cover this angle, but I'm not sure about it because I want it also live not side here. As you will see next turn, I think I was able to escape on my left, which is obviously a mistake, but we will see about that. Magic phase. I get a breast weapon, I kill 4 Temple Guard, I dispel the Grave Call, I fail the Rot Wizard on 1 dice. Shooting, I did 3 wounds on the Stigio with my blunderbuss on the right, and the Bastion did 5 wounds to the Temple Guards. I shot Temple Guard again, thinking I cannot do a panic check on the Cayman, that would be really bad for me. So definitely not shooting at them and shooting on the Temple Guard. So I reduced a good amount of Temple Guard. I could have potentially anticipated that, and maybe, I don't know if I was ready to let the Temple charge my Incarnate or not. I felt the chaff gives me some control. But as you will see, the placement of the Incarnate wasn't top, but that's the problem of no musician. It's really hard to find very good positioning sometimes. Anyway, that's it for my turn 3. Let's move on to his turn. So he takes a couple of charges. The Ronfort don't charge me in the flank. The Cayman charge me in the front. The Pokai goes into them. Those guys move forward to chaff me, and those guys move slightly back. And as I was saying before, he's able to be within 6. Out of the giant, which is not something I should have let him have. He moves the Cayman to shoot at my Overlord that is still full, and those guys move to the flank. I was thinking my aim was to cover it. Due to the picture, I would say that wasn't the case. I don't know why, to be honest. I remember it being an ID, but I'm not sure I managed to do it since I wanted to have a line of sight no matter what on the Temple Guard if they charge my chaff, which at the end they didn't do, and they just moved past my line of sight. So definitely not happy about the positioning of the Incarnate here. On the magic phase, he failed Corruption of Thin of 2 dice. He got then, I dispelled the heal, and he got with 4 dice against my 5 dice a +1 strength on those guys here. Yes, Chameleon shoot the Overlord, maybe did a wound, I would say. And then we move into shooting. He did some more wounds to those guys. I think they are close to dead. He moved back those guys also to shoot me here. So yeah, the Lugars, that was a real problem, this left flank, with so many shooty unit. What do we have else? So then close combat was way better for me. I managed to kill the poor guy, so you can see the stat. I think he got 4 wounds. He has 4 wounds, and basically he killed 1 model. I strike back with 7 attack, and I kill him. So 3+2+ AP4. As you can see, it's a bit less than 50% chance of killing him. I managed to do it, so luckily for me, he does plenty of damage to my Bastion, but I'm still alive, and obviously I'm steadfast, so I pass my check, and that's about it. My turn 4. So now it's time for counter charge. I send the Overlord, and I also have the 2 anointed that are free, so I also send them in to make sure I break him. And here we have a huge issue for him, because basically I immediately see, when I see these charges, that basically the Bastion has a straight line touching the flank of this unit. So if I charge anything into the Saurus, then I could overrun with the Bastion or pursue with the Bastion into the flank of those guys. And that would be huge. So the only question is, what do I need to charge? Obviously those guys can charge in, the giant can charge in. The issue I had is, if I charge only with the warrior, and if for some reason I charge the overrun from the Bastion, then I could give him a free pivot, and that's way too risky because the Saurus will win against my little dude. So he was only waiting for me to charge with the giant to flee, which pushes him off the board, so at least that's the good news. The only problem for me is now, because I couldn't, charging only with the giant, I don't know if he would have fled it straight. That's a good question. Because the giant could also fail the charge. So I felt it was a very good opportunity, but I wanted to solve it on my turn. So that's the moment we took the timeout with my coach, and that's why we came up, the idea we came up with. So he fled over his entire army with the block of Saurus. He passes the panic check on the 3 units, so no worries at all. I uses my incarnate to double chaff here in the front, give me time, and here I redirect on the 11 on the charge. From what I recall, I needed a 4+ on the fail charge to be within 6 of the middle, and I just made a 3 on my 2 dice, so I didn't roll a 4+. So I'm just too far, and he is within 6. So basically, at the moment, he's going to score the run on the right, and I have no scoring on the left, so that's going to be 1-0. For this token, I had a charge, I think I wrote down, it was a 10. So I needed a 10. If I make the charge, I will kill the Stigio most likely. Because he already lost a wound, so most likely I will win that combat, and then I would be 1-0 up on the secondary. So it's obviously a huge moment for the secondary. A charge on a 10, making the 4+. I didn't do both, so basically that's how I'm stuck. I'm asking myself if I would have charged, if I should have maybe charged the giant first to make him flee, if he would have waited for the second charge from those guys. I don't know, to be honest, what he would have done. Obviously the angle of the giant was a huge issue because I couldn't see the Stigio. I could only redirect into the flank of those guys on a very long charge, which I failed. And that's it. In the magic phase, I got this time a press weapon on myself, I would say, like on the Bastion. And that's about it. It dispelled the Grave Call, that's about it. Close combat, I did too many wounds to the little guys. Honestly, I don't know if I really needed the Troke Anointed. I could have also set up the Troke Anointed maybe for a long charge somewhere and trying to go for secondary. I don't know if it was really needed to use Troke Anointed for that. But he auto broke, he fled with the Cayman, and I knew that from some reason, due to the double chaffing here, and the overrun, and I had only 2 guys left, and also the Stigio that could go in my flank, I couldn't pursue him with my Bastion, which is obviously a problem. So the Bastion has to stay here. The Cayman didn't flee a lot, and they will rally and chaff me next round. So I only got the Renfordon, so that's not the best outcome, I feel here. He's turn 5, he chaffes me. That's going to be the last turn, unfortunately. He moves out of the line of sight, doesn't take the risk to charge the Incarnate. Those guys come here to shoot at the Overlord, that only lost a wound until now. I remember being quite lucky on my saves, because I got 2 Corruption of Thin, so I'm on 4 up, 1 reroll, and then 5 up. As you can see here, Stigio can still be within 6, so he's going to win secondary because now he gets both. I can only tie the one on the right, but he's going to win the one on the left. So not so good for me in the magic phase. He got, and I think he rallied something. What did he rally? He rallied the Cayman. That's it. Silver Spike did nothing. He got Swarm of Insect, did nothing as well. So not so crazy. I saved some of the shooting, but it's going to take half point from my Overlord. And then my last turn, I'm just going to move to shoot those guys, try to get the points. I'm going to charge the Cayman to get those points. And that's going to be it. So I'm going to not take the Stigio, but I'm going to kill the Cayman. It's going to have no panic, and that's the end of the game. So at the end, we took both a lot of stuff, but he wins secondary due to this turn of event on turn 4. I took a little more points, so I won 11-9. It was just a little far away from the 12-8, and he was able to get the +3 from the secondary, which makes it a 12-8 for him. So very tense fight. I think it was an interesting battle. We both, I think it shows even on top level, so to say, it's table number 1 against Spain, who won the tournament. As you can see, he made some mistake, like the one with the Saurus and stuff. I also made some mistakes, but I felt it was an interesting battle because it was close and a lot like a boxing fight, like I'm taking a small advantage, he's taking a small advantage back, taking a small advantage. It was really about that. Every turn we were trying to get some small advantage, and I think this made it a very interesting battle, very tactical, with some mistakes, with some stuff like angle, positioning of single model on my side was not the perfect at all. I think it was a very, very interesting battle. I was obviously not so happy to lose it because I felt I wasn't far from winning it. But that was really decided. The small margin between a small win and a small loss was decided by dice, basically. That's my feeling of it, at least. Strong flank collapsed with shooting. My overlord lost time. Yeah, I think the mispositioning of on my turn 2 of both single model could have cost me even more, but cost me in the battle. I was able to readjust, but still it cost me too much. I'm quite happy about the solution I found on my turn 3 to counter his aggression in the center. I had some opportunities, obviously. The frenzy bait, I think he wasn't unlucky to the turn of event to fail the charge, to then pass the second frenzy. But overall, I think here to remember, I could have just augment a little bit my chances of making the plan work by giving him like a 6 instead of a 7, and on the second turn by placing better, even if he failed, if he passed the frenzy, I can do something with the giant. So that was definitely a bad reading of the game situation. Turn 4, Infernal Dwarves, it's a key moment. I think it's the key moment of the game which decided between a win and a loss. I don't know if I could have solved it better, asking myself if I would have charged the giant first, if he would have fled. I don't know about that. If he would have fled on the giant straight, maybe not. Then this opens up I don't know if he would have liked to force me to charge the Infernal Warriors. We took the time during the timeout to think about all potential outcome, what was the best. I think I needed to charge something in the front to make it sure that it could happen. The only question is the turn of event, because basically what I'm thinking, if I charge a giant first and if he flees straight, then my Infernal Warrior could have marched in the front of the studio to shoot them and be on the secondary. And I think that would have been way better if he would have wait until the second charge to flee. Then basically it opens up an option for my giant to catch the Saurus, and I can still redirect the Infernal Warrior. So I think that's potentially better because I have potentially a free reform of the giant on his back line. So I think charging the other way around is potentially better, I would say. But in that case, at least I got the Saurus for sure, because he needed to flee all the way to the left. Okay, the round will be really close. As you can see, we went out of pairing with 83. As you can see, we had one negative matchup, a lot close to draw, like 4 close to a draw and 3 positive in our opinion. How did it go? So Coco did slightly better than his bad matchup, so that was a good news for us. Victor exactly the same, Mike slightly less, me slightly less. We have Andy not able to get the positive he wanted. Dim didn't go as well as we thought. I heard that Lastra played very good game, so congrats to him. Xavier got a very good win, very impressive and very important for us, 20-0 against the KOE, and then Paul close to his estimation. So as you can see, we had some close fights. We lost little points on a few tables. Here a bit more than expected, and here we compensated. So overall the score of 80 makes a lot of sense here. We had a very close round against Spain, and in a very good atmosphere, I must say. I must also thank my opponent for the very interesting game and the good atmosphere around the table. We were able to agree on everything and play a very interesting game. So that was very enjoyable for me, and I was happy to finish on this game because I felt that was maybe my best display. I'm not sure about best display, but the best game of my ETC, no matter what. I made some mistake, obviously he also did, but that was definitely the best in terms of technical finesse, I could say. It was very interesting to play, at least. So guys, that's all for this battle report. We tie against Spain, they won etc. Congrats to them, obviously. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the list, the choices that I made, my performance overall, and what's next for me in the conclusion video that's coming next. Thanks a lot for watching, and talk to you soon on the channel. Goodbye.